Hi, and welcome to Strap a Watch. I'm Michael Knapp with Michael Knapp Leather. On today's episode, we have a special guest. He's a subscriber to the channel, Mr. Doug Logan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Doug has this. It's a Rolex Datejust from the late 80s, 1980s, somewhere around there. It was your father's watch.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about the background of the watch.
My father was an architect in Jacksonville, successful, retired, and a builder gave him the Rolex as a retirement gift. My father passed away too soon, and my mother passed it down to me. I'm the oldest of four. And I didn't appreciate the collectability or the expense of a Rolex. I'd always worn Timex.
Yeah.
And so I felt a close connection to the watch with my father, so I started wearing it to work. Big mistake.
Yeah, because he dropped the watch off a few days ago to have me make this genuine Black Alligator strap for the watch. And by the way, I got your Jubilee bracelet all nice and cleaned
yes,
up. Turned
nice.
out beautiful. I guess it's his initials were engraved
Yes.
in there. And you can see too, I'll put some B-roll footage of the engraving on the back of the watch that was to his father. So when he dropped it off a few days ago, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was beat up, man. It had scratches all over the dial, or the crystal, all over the bezel. I mean, every piece of it was scratched up. Now, Doug owns Mantis Services. They're pest
Control termite company.
Yeah, and he had done our house. In all honesty, he and my wife are part of what's called BizNet. It's a networking business thing. And he had termite bonded both of my homes, and it's a rough type of a job. I watched you do some of it, and it's using this big drill to go in the blocks. I'll put some B-roll footage of that right here. So you were wearing that and doing this type of work.
Right, and I really scratched it up by crawling underneath houses.
Right.
And hitting cast iron pipes and rocks and...
Don't do that. So I was able to, and I told him, he was here yesterday to pick the watch up, and we shot some footage of it, and unfortunately we had a mic issue with his mic, so he's back here today talking about the watch. Hopefully the mics are all working today. But I had used some of this Flitz polish and polished out a lot of the scratches. Now you've had it overnight.
Right.
I let you wear it home.
Right.
It's his watch. What'd your family think?
Oh, they were stunned. But let me tell you, I had a sales call this morning. That's the reason I'm dressed like this. And I was waiting for the time to go to the house, and their house, and the sun was hitting the crystal. And everywhere I looked, I couldn't find a scratch anywhere. I'm like, good God.
I spent hours.
That thing was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so scratched up, and it's gorgeous.
It
now.
is gorgeous. I mean, it looks brand new. And this is a 36 millimeter Datejust, again from the 1980s. It's a two-tone stainless and gold. It's model number 16013, and it has a 3135 movement. We're going to be going in more depth on the watch. But I thank you so much for allowing me to make the strap. He's also ordered a tan strap, so I'll be getting that to you here probably this week. And I just hope you get a lot of enjoyment out of this watch. It was a lot of fun making the strap.
You have no idea how much I appreciate you doing this. Because it was my dad's, now it looks just like when I got it. It's gorgeous, and I'll never treat it that way. Yeah, I'll never treat it that way again.
And this movement that's in this watch, by the way, and you can find out from the serial number through Rolex about when the production run. If that was, to me, that would be an important factor, but not for everybody. But the 3135 movement is a real modern movement. I mean, in all intents and purposes, it's a modern Rolex. It really is, and it's gorgeous. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, and can't wait to get you the tan alligator.
I can't wait to see it.
What a great guy Doug is. I can't tell you. He's just the nicest and coolest guy. as an entrepreneur, I just love fellow entrepreneurs, and he's a business owner. My wife and I are business owners. I've been, business owner for a long time, and this was right after he dropped the watch off. So I'm just kind of going through the box, and I'll tell you what, for this watch being 35-ish years old with that 31-35 movement, I don't think it's ever been serviced. Check this out. It's plus 8 seconds in the time grapher. It is still running great. I mean, that's on par with some of my other watches right now. And I know because Doug's dad obviously kept meticulous records. I mean, here's the chronometer certification. Everything else was still in this box, So if his father had it serviced, that information would have been in the box, I feel. And I know Doug told me he's never had it serviced, and we talked about him getting it serviced, and I kind of was trying to talk him out of it. Honestly, he was kind of, I think, pulling the trigger to go that way and making a decision to do that. But you can see it's kind of tough because of the lighting in this shot. But the dial, or the crystal's just covered in scratches. And I'll tell you, I mean, he does it in his job, in Doug's job, in line of work. I couldn't believe it, because I came home for lunch one day while he was doing the termite bonding of one of my homes, and he was underneath the deck. And I mean, it's like 3 feet high underneath there. I mean, I would never crawl under there myself. I would not do it. And he's drilling holes about every foot. And you saw that footage, that B-roll footage I showed of what he does. So he drills into that block, and then he injects with this really long contraption, this chemical, this pesticide that deters for decades any termites getting in there. So it really helps also with your insurance. But, I could not believe what he was doing. And so for him to have been wearing this watch for a while, soon after he received the watch from his mother, and he's wearing it to work like that, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. So, and finally it dawned on him that this is not a cool thing. He just didn't know the value. I don't think he really, truly knew the value. And I'll tell you what, I was never really under a 38 millimeter kind of an automatic watch type of a guy. I just never even crossed my mind to go below 38 millimeters. Because to me, 38, with certain watches, it's kind of small. Okay. And yes, we just got out of the too large of watch craze that happened for a good few years, and I'm glad that's over. There's still guys out there I see with these monstrosities of watches. And hey, if you got a big pilot watch that you're still wearing, that's cool. I mean, that's one thing. But man, some of these companies, yeah, I'll tell you, they're just crazy. But this 36 millimeter Rolex, when I put it on, okay, after Doug left, I thought, let's just see what it looks like on my wrist. It is gorgeous. For some reason, just in the design of a Rolex, they wear bigger. They really do. Even my 40 millimeter Milgauss, it wears bigger than 40 millimeters. It does. I'm glad it's not any bigger than that. I'm glad it's not even 41. So, but this 36, I mean, it's absolutely changed my whole opinion of 36 millimeter Rolexes. Absolutely. Because I keep hearing about guys, talking with the vintage Rolex craze, and the values have just gone through the roof, and you can't even hardly get anything that's any good anymore. They're all taken up, so, but there's a ton of 36s out there, and I think they're worth the grabbing right now, even, because you can find some decent values. I was just looking, different places here and there, and they're ranging anywhere from, maybe low threes up to $5,000-ish. A lot of them in right around the $4,000-ish range. And for, kind of a vintage, it's 80s, but still that's vintage now. I mean, this is 220, or 2020. 2020, man, doesn't that sound like the future? Well, maybe not for some of you, but for me it sure does. I mean, 1999 sounded like the future to a guy like me, but I'm a little older. So, oh man, I'm telling you, I think I'll end up pulling the trigger myself here. Maybe not very soon, but in the not too distant future, I'm getting a 36 millimeter. And they have one of these with a black dial that I've seen that has, I think it's called a tapestry dial. Really cool looking, man. I think that's what I would go with if I could find one that's in good shape. So, I just an amazing watch. This watch of his, again, it's a two-tone stainless and gold. Model number 16013, so 16013. And there's others examples that are pretty close. The 160 or 16223, I believe it was really close. It had little Roman numerals all on the outer side of the dial. And there's some others out there that are really cool. They have one with a blue dial, of course, and I saw one with a red dial that was really hot looking, but red's kind of a neat thing for me. I like red. Blue's just so in vogue today, it really is. So I think I will end up getting one. So any of you guys out there that are, maybe reluctant on 36, go try them on. Honest, go try them on and see what you think. I think you'll be very surprised. I know I was. So one of these days, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna get me one. I think I'm gonna get me one. Don't tell my wife. Oh God, she's probably gonna watch the show, right? So, but I had a lot of fun making this strap. You've gotten to see me do a lot of the various steps. I was just doing the keeper there a little bit ago, and here I'm getting ready to prick the stitching holes. And I'm using a 3.38 millimeter stitching iron right there. That's what that's called. And so I'm doing the point end of the strap. And this is kind of a little trade secret of mine, is how I do things a little bit in reverse than normal saddle stitching, and I also stitch in the keeper itself. So, and yeah, please subscribe if you haven't. This channel's still so new. Hit the bell notifications so you're notified of future videos. Hit the like button. All those little things help to grow the channel. Even every little comment you guys leave, all those help in me growing this channel. It's still just so new. I told last week it came up on, the 3-month mark. But man, this was yesterday when Doug had first picked up the watch, and he was so excited. Look at that face. He was so excited. And here we are, final product. Man, did this watch turn out absolutely stunning. It did. And this strap accents this watch so well. I've made tons and tons of straps for all kinds of watches. I gotta tell you, this is probably one of my all-time favorites. It really is. Talk about class. Total class. So this whole watch just screams class. And there's the crown. I mean, it's in great shape after all that had been done to it. So listen, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun. I wish the mics on the intro were working better, but I'll get that issue fixed up here real soon. So God bless you all. Until next time, keep on ticking.